CBSN New York.
Joining us right now to discuss Thrive NYC and today's hearings going on right now at New York City Hall is Stephan Eide. He's a contributing editor of City Journal and a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, which is a research center that focuses on economic and other issues facing cities. Thank you, Stephan, for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So what are your impressions? I know you've written an article basically criticizing the way this helps people who have problems and could help so many others. So tell us more about that, your feelings about Thrive.
Well, Thrive has some problems with it that are sort of process-oriented problems, and then there are kind of some outcome-oriented problems. A lot of the debate recently with what the comptroller has been talking about in the city council has been about where is the money going? What programs are part of Thrive? What programs are sort of things that are mental health related that the city does that are not related to Thrive? And there are a lot of questions to be raised on that score. But for me, the more important questions are what I would call outcome-oriented. What is happening with the homeless, mentally ill? Are we reducing the number of New Yorkers who are homeless and have mental illness? If you talk to New Yorkers these days about, do we have a crisis in mental health, I think a lot of them would say yes. You know, if you ride the subway, you can't avoid occasionally an encounter with somebody who's not in a good state, obviously not receiving the treatment that they need. And it looks to be the case that Thrive NYC has not been achieving a lot of success in reducing those sorts of things in New York City. So
are we talking about, because in your article you talk about New Yorkers are fed up with erratic, sometimes violent behavior from the growing ranks of homelessly, mentally ill on the streets and subways. And so when we're just getting even more specific about those people, medically speaking, schizophrenics, people who are bipolar, manic of all sorts. I mean, these are not call a hotline type of situation.
Right. These are who we would describe as the seriously mentally ill, severely mentally ill. 4 to 5% of the adults have a serious mental illness, but they make up, let's say, 25 to 30% of the homeless population. The unsheltered homeless, 40% are estimated to have a serious mental illness. We also have a very high rate of serious mental illness among the inmate population in the city jail system. Over 1,000 people in city jails have a serious mental illness. So yes, something like a mental health hotline doesn't seem especially targeted to help that kind of a problem.
We've had Coalition for the Homeless on several times talking about 63,000 people are homeless. And I just want to go back to that percentage number you said, who are possibly dealing with very serious mental health issues.
Well, the 63,000 number includes families with children, mostly not seriously mentally ill cases. And then you have the single adult population who are both in shelter and out of shelter. High rate of serious mental illness among single adult population especially, but it's especially high amongst the unsheltered population, the people who literally live on the streets and just, you know, are obviously not getting the treatment they need.
Let's talk about the money. One of the issues the City Council is wanting to uncover during this hearing is talking about transparency of Ms. McRae's Thrive NYC. Where's the money all going? What are your concerns about that?
Well, the confusing thing is that, you know, what was the Bloomberg baseline? It's not like the Bloomberg administration, prior to when the de Blasio administration came along, just completely neglected mental health. In fact, we were already spending over $900 million on behavioral health initiatives under Bloomberg prior to Thrive NYC. Thrive NYC is supposed to improve on what we were doing at that time. So they launched a number of new initiatives on top of what we were doing. But it's a real question as to how much those are actually improving things beyond what we were already spending, which was already a lot. But to be clear, $250 million, even for New York City, that is a lot of money. And the big question, the question that the comptroller is raising, is not so much, you know, is $250 million too much money to spend on mental health? If it's working, it's not too much money. But is it really working?
Is it really working? Is it really working? What do you expect to come out of this City Council meeting? What do you hope?
I hope that we will have contributions from the city council members, from potential 2021 mayoral candidates that are not just criticisms of what the de Blasio administration been doing, or if they are criticism, constructive criticisms, their own ideas about how we should improve mental health care, and in particular address the issue of untreated serious mental illness in New York City. It's a problem that has been a difficulty for generations of policymakers, and if people have better ideas, now's a good time to hear them.
When I looked at the Thrive website, and I was struck by how, just one second here while I look for it, when it talked about what your needs were. And it was very sort of, do you have stress? Do you have anxiety? Call this number. Oh, I can't find it. I'm sorry. Trouble coping, don't struggle alone. We're here to listen and help with problems like stress, depression, anxiety, or drug and alcohol misuse for you or someone you care about. Again, underscoring what we're talking about.
Yeah, so Thrive says it wants to break down barriers to make people access the behavioral health services that are already available. Maybe you weren't aware of them. But the difficult population, the hardest cases are what we call the service resistance cases, the people who, even if you have resources, services, programs available, they're still not reaching out and accessing them. How do you overcome that challenge?
Boy, well, we appreciate your perspective. Stephan Eide, thank you so much for being here and sharing on this, because it is very, very serious and affects all of us. It affects our entire citizenship and citizenry and the health of every family.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.